This isn't your grandfather's fireplace mantle, but the wood did come from somebody's grandfather, and that's a story I really want to tell. So buckle up and follow along as I build another beam mantle and tell a story. So this is a bit of a long story, but also not really. Last year, they had asked me to look into building a fireplace mantle for them, and I, along with many other projects, didn't quite get around to it just yet. I was able to touch base with them again this year for another quick project that I did for them, and we started talking about building a fireplace mantle. The original idea was that they were going to use pieces of an old bleacher that the grandfather had bought and stored in his garage. But when the husband went up to get the pieces, he instead found these beautiful pieces of walnut and decided that they would look much better. The story behind these walnut pieces, the tree fell down in the great-grandfather's backyard and were milled. The tree was milled in 1972. In the 50 years since, they have been sitting around and have gone from the great-grandfather's house to the grandfather's house and now to my shop to be turned into a fireplace mantle to go in the living room. These walnut pieces, I love walnut. Even at 50 years old, 50 years plus however old the tree was, so I don't know how old these pieces of wood actually are. The wood is incredibly beautiful, really wonderful to work with. The thing with these pieces of wood is the 3 pieces of wood, 2 of them are walnut and the third one is not. However, due to the age of this wood and the accumulation of dust and dirt and grime and UV exposure, is that the wood has darkened sufficiently that as long as I don't take too much off of the one side, it'll match the walnut. And as you can tell, I'm not explaining the process of building this mantle. I already have 2 videos up on the YouTube, explaining my process of how I do a folded miter box like this. Again, the difficulty with using one rough side is that you have to be very, very careful to make sure all the edges match up. Because you have a reference face you can work off of, but the top cut is not going to be perfectly even. The other small project that I did for this family was the great-grandfather had made a side table that, again, the table itself was probably close to 80 years old. And it had been sitting for a long time, and when they found it in the corner of the garage and brought it home, it was very dried out, had been sitting out there. The joints had gotten very loose. The table was very wobbly. So what I had done was I had redone the joints. I took it apart, cleaned it up, put the joints back together, stabilized it. And now in this living room, not only do they have a mantle made out of wood that the great-grandfather had gotten milled and had been stored and had been keeping, but they also have an end table that the great-grandfather had made by hand. I am a big fan of heirloom furniture pieces like that. Not necessarily the high-end furniture from, Chippendale furniture, like from the stores that you bought from a place, but something that was made by hand, by a person in your family and handed down generation to generation. You can't put a price on that. I've talked about this on my Instagram and all that, and how the family history that I have come from a history of men who have worked with their hands, who have created things that have been passed down and passed down, and something that I strive to do as well. And I am honored to have been able to be a part of another family story, to continue a tradition, to keep these pieces alive and in their house and in their family. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and have a great day.